Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesday. It's March 11th, 2025. Please note this event is being recorded and is not currently live on Facebook. I'm trying to get that fixed again, but for some reason, Zoom and Facebook don't want to talk to each other. The recording will be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. It'll be up later this afternoon. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those people on Zoom, please just enter any questions you have in the chat window. Also, this is a great place to put your contact information. Connect with everybody else who's on the call today. Currently, we've got 28 people on the call. Just open up the chat, put in your name, put in your LinkedIn address, put in a couple companies you're looking for, you need to some target help with, and see how you can help other people who are on the call today. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched careerusa.org to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2007, except for last year, I was leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. And I'm back to attending, but I'm letting the people who volunteered to keep it going right now. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, which for more information on that, go to dallaspitcrew.com. We have 4 outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn every month. They each talk about it from a different point of view. They bring different information. So hopefully you'll take away 1 or 2 things today that are talked about. Today's our speaker is Ruth Lipsky. She works at Lee Heck Harrison. She coaches and trains people who are unemployed on a daily basis. And today your topic is LinkedIn tool for job seekers. So Ruth, thank you very much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you for everything you do for all of the people who are unemployed and are looking for a better job. So let's take a look at how LinkedIn is supporting job seekers. Over the years, they've created more and more tools that are going to be able to help people who are looking for a job by providing additional information that's going to be important for you. So first thing we're going to talk about is how recruiters find you on LinkedIn. Recruiters more and more are taking a look at people as a database on LinkedIn. So they're putting in the type of title that they're looking for. They're probably putting in a location these days. They're putting in a couple of skills. And in return, LinkedIn is giving them a bunch of candidates who match the overall profile that's needed. In this case, just looking for a project manager in the greater Chicago area, looking for people who have the skills for business strategy and analytics is giving us 42,798 candidates. That's more than what anybody wants to take a look at. So LinkedIn has provided some spotlight features that allow a recruiter to start sorting by other types of features to find the people who are probably most interesting to them. So the spotlight features that LinkedIn created in conjunction with recruiters is a person open to work? Are they connected to the company that recruiter is representing? Have they expressed any interest in the company, and are they active on LinkedIn? As LinkedIn is providing information to the recruiters, you can see that being able to pull it down using those types of spotlight features brings us down to 83, which is a reasonable number of candidates to be looking at. Now, something else to remember is that LinkedIn never does anything on a random basis. LinkedIn has always got a reason to give information in that order. So in this case, given this information, project manager in Chicago with these skills, open to work, know somebody at the company, has expressed an interest in the company, is active on LinkedIn. Emily Dalton came up number 1. Channing Curry came up 2. Aubrey Mackey came up 3. And LinkedIn is telling the recruiter that these are the top candidates based on what you're looking for. What we're going to be talking about today is how you become a top candidate, how you come to the top of a recruiter search. And as you see through here, the information that Emily and Channing and Aubrey are giving in the small piece of information that LinkedIn has, it's not much information. So LinkedIn is going to give the recruiter the name of the person, what their headline is, what their location is, title of their last 2 jobs. And from that information, the recruiter is going to sort through, look at all 83 of those, which ones seem to be most interesting to them. Yikes, not much information there. But we're going to make sure that you've got the information to catch the eye of the recruiter. And to do that, we're going to talk about the top section of your profile, the headline, the title area, and the verification. That's what the recruiter sees first. And quite often, if you don't wow them in that top section, they're not going to read any further down. We're going to talk about the skills, and we're going to talk about both the technical and the managerial skills that you need to have in your profile, because the recruiter is looking to match the skills that they want out of their job description with the skills that you have in your profile. And we'll talk in a little bit more detail about those spotlight features that the recruiter is using and how you can best find a way to appeal to a recruiter. So, first thing we want to talk about is the headline. It's the area that is right underneath your name at the top of your profile. The default that LinkedIn has is title at company. You can change that though. LinkedIn gives you enough information that you can change it to talk about what titles you want to have for your future and what value you bring to a new company. So if you were in an IT role and the most important thing a recruiter was looking for was what programs you are comfortable in, you can just put in a pipe, which is the separator, and then put in the types of activities that you are best in. If you are in a project management role or a program management role, you probably need to put in a value statement, specializing in, able to, um, being able to indicate what it is you do best in an area that may not be particularly well defined. Project managers, program managers encompass a huge, broad set of levels, experiences, responsibilities. Put down something that showcases what you are. Even if it's something that is as tightly defined generally as an accountant, being able to say something about what you do is going to distinguish you from other people with the same title. The higher you are in an organization, generally the more strategic your value statement needs to be. So being able to say creating value for business through effective marketing strategies gives the result of what your actions are rather than showcasing some individual skills. Same thing for director levels. Let's make sure that things are going to be high level and are going to be more strategic in the way that you're presenting yourself. Good example of all this is that if Walt Disney had had a LinkedIn profile, he could have put in CEO, media, cartoons, leadership, but he probably would have put in making dreams come true. So find something that's going to catch the attention of the recruiter, because this is about the only information that the recruiter has when they're doing a search on LinkedIn that speaks to them, that they can make a decision on. A new feature on LinkedIn is verification. And in this age of artificial intelligence and robots, it is more and more important that we identify ourselves as being real people. And the verification comes in three different types. You can have a verification that is set up as a government issued ID, or from the place that you work, or from a university or school. So if you're still a student, your school is able to indicate that you are indeed a real person and enrolled there. Recruiters are putting this verification badge on their own profiles. They want to make sure that you're real. And let's take a look real quickly at what that looks like on a profile. It's going to be right here. So it says that I've got verifications, and I've got two of the verifications. One is that I used my driver's license in order to have a government ID approved, and the other is that my company had approved that I was a person who was working there. I'm not involved with any university, so I don't need that third one. You can set this up as a government ID, but you can only do it on your phone. It looks as if you would be able to set up a verification using your laptop, your iPad, your computer, but it can't get you all the way through. So if you wanted to set up a verification using a driver's license or a passport, do it on your phone. It's the only way you're going to be able to get that done. So going back, let's take a closer look at the verifications. Make sure that you have a verification. And if you are talking to a recruiter or somebody within the company, it's nice to see that they're verified also. Now, we normally ask that we have an end date for your most recent job. And normally that occurs within 2 months or so of the time that you actually leave the job. If you have the end date open too much longer than that, it looks as if you're not being honest about your employment status. You do need to put in some information on why you're no longer employed. And LinkedIn gives you two different options on that. One of them is that you can add a career break. And the career break is one that LinkedIn had created a few years ago that says, here are reasons that I am not actively working right now. And they're a fairly broad list here, but each one of these assumes that you are not working and you are not currently employed, which works against you in their algorithm. The other option is that you can add a new experience to your uh, LinkedIn profile and have a title, have a set of experiences that indicate what you want to be doing for the future. So your job right now is finding your next job. And here's an example of what you want your next job to be. Great opportunity for you to put in some titles, great opportunity for you to add some additional information that are going to be your key skills. Because the more often you say that you have a skill, the higher level of proficiency LinkedIn assumes that you have. So let's take a look at how that one looks also. So when you're on your LinkedIn profile, you can either add a section through here or in your experience section. Probably the easier way is saying, I'm going to add an experience. And if you wanted to add the career break that says, I'm not working and here's why I'm not working, using one of these is going to be appropriate. Better, though, would be to add a new position altogether, put in a couple of titles that are of interest to you. Employment type, you can put in anything you want on that, but quite often self-employed indicates that you're not working for a company at this time. Putting in a description gives you the opportunity to add more of those keywords. Talk about what it is you can do that is going to be of interest to a new company. So putting in information through here is going to be key to ensuring that LinkedIn treats you as an employed person, which means that you are going to be available for the all-star designation. The key in here is that it is required that you have a company or an organization putting in something that could be your last name incorporated or your last name enterprises, something that is not taken in the field. Putting in a looking for next opportunity is also available here. Do not use special characters in any of these fields. Special characters are not recognized well by LinkedIn, either in the title area, the description area, or the headline area. It distorts the search. And anytime you're using hashtags or arrows or any special characters that might catch the eye, it prevents the recruiter from finding you as easily. So stay away from those. But add a new experience saying, I'm looking for a new job. And here's the information that you need to know about me to make me a prime candidate. So let's go back and take a look here. The other thing that you might want to do on your profile is that the title that your company gave you may not necessarily describe what you did, or it could be a title that doesn't exist in other companies that you're interested in. So putting in additional titles in the experience area is going to give you a broader reach and is going to be able to give you a better, give the recruiters a better understanding of what it is you did, how you did it. So here's an example of that. I work at LHH and my official title is career consultant, but career coach is used more often in the industry. So I put a pipe in between and indicate that this is also known as this title. Being able to put in a title and then put in what it is translated to is going to help the recruiter and it's going to help you come up more often in the searches. The other thing that happens is that in this case, I had a title that did not necessarily indicate what I did. And if I wanted a similar job to what I was doing, I was going to have to translate that to a completely different title. So in this case, Senior Manager of Training and Development, but my whole team's goal was to move classroom training into virtual training. And during that time, I acted as an instructional designer and an e-learning developer. So in parentheses, putting in what titles really indicate what you did and describe the types of activities that you had is going to be useful here too. So utilizing that title area, which is a high value piece of information, only the headline area has more value to the LinkedIn algorithm. It's going to give you an opportunity to describe more carefully what it is you did. Now let's talk about skills because recruiters are searching for a title, but they're also searching for very specific skills. And you want to be able to match what the recruiter is actually looking for. And one of the ways that you can do that is that LinkedIn has created a list of skills that it expects to see when somebody is indicating a specific title. And this is where it is. Take a look at this. And Jeff, would you mind putting that in the chat for everybody? But in this, it'll allow you to say if you are a project manager. A lot of different types of project managers. Let's say that you're an IT project manager. LinkedIn has a list of skills that are expected for an IT project manager, and they're in order. The top ones are normally more important than the bottom ones. If you are looking at this and you're saying that you have all of these skills, make sure that you have them in your profile, either in the skills section, incorporate them into the about section. Make sure that you've got these because they're expected skills. These are not soft skills. These are generally going to be the technical skills. that are associated with any role. Now, in addition to that, LinkedIn is giving you an opportunity to say what other jobs use these skills. So, in order to take a look at this, you can either look at something that is similar or something that is popular. Let's take a look at what's popular. If you're currently an IT project manager, you could move to a regular project manager. It is only a match of 53%, and it tells you that there are some skills you'll probably need to build as you move into that role. But it is very popular. So taking a look at, given the set of skills that I have, what other job titles are close to this can be useful. But certainly being able to find out what skills are associated with jobs, big plus, because we feel that LinkedIn is using this quite a bit. They're just not telling us how. Now let's talk about the spotlight features. LinkedIn is telling us that it's okay to be unemployed. And certainly over the last 15 years, we've seen a lot of companies go through mergers, acquisitions, complete buyouts of companies, and people who were in positions were let go because they were either redundant from the other company. Certainly during the pandemic, there was a lot of activity where companies were narrowing down their scope into core business and getting rid of complete lines of business. 20 years ago, you could generally say that if somebody was let go, quite often they were the low performer, and that was why they were selected to be laid off. Nowadays, and in the last 15 years, it is not that way at all. Layoffs are normally large in numbers and have no particular reference to how well you did your job. So LinkedIn is telling us that they recognize that some extraordinarily talented people have to be laid off because the company is no longer supporting that piece of business. So let's talk about that hashtag open to work. You may have seen some people call it hashtag desperate. The negatives on it, people don't want to use that, is that they think there is a perception of desperation, that there is a higher risk of spam by indicating that you are looking for work. And honestly, there's spam everywhere these days. There's scams. Uh, be on the lookout for that. But some people feel it could be a reputation damage, that it indicates that you were let go from a company and there could have been a negative reason for that. So if you don't want to use the hashtag open to work, that's okay. It's your decision. But on the positive side, using that hashtag open to work, it does increase your visibility. And LinkedIn is telling us that you will get 40% more recruiter activity and you will get 20% more messages from LinkedIn if people see that you are open to work. And there will be more networking opportunities because as people see that you're open to work, they're more likely to network with you. So the positives are very strong on this. Most people are recommending that you do use the hashtag open to work, but if you're not comfortable with it, you don't need it. The key on this, though, is that you've got more control over what you're looking for. And if you're using the hashtag open to work in a public way, where you actually have that green banner around your name, then all recruiters who are on LinkedIn will be able to see that you're open to work. And it is the first filter that recruiters use. They don't want to waste time on people who are happy in their job, don't want to be talked out of their job. There are plenty of people out there who are looking for a role that have the skills and the experiences that they're looking for. Only about half of the recruiters on LinkedIn who are looking for talent are using the LinkedIn recruiter software. The other half are simply going to LinkedIn and utilizing the search functions that are available to them. So you're being seen more. You have more activity associated with you. I like using it, but there are always people who are not comfortable with it, and that's okay too. So the other spotlight feature is mutual interest. And that's where you tell a company that you're interested in them so that they can pick you out of a crowd. And there are four ways that you can show a company that you're interested in them. You can follow the company. You can set up a job alert. You can click on the interest button and you can connect to employees. And let's take a look at how that works. Somebody give me a company that they're interested in.
Capital One.
Okay, Capital One it is. And here we go. Capital One, we're going to view their page, and this is going to be the LinkedIn page for the company, not to be confused with the page they have for public consumption. The first thing you want to do is you want to follow the company, which says, I'm interested in your company, send me information as you post it. So when Capital One posts something about opening up a new branch, talking about a new feature, talking about employee engagement, it's going to appear on my home page. And on my home page, I've got information through here that is from companies that I'm following because it gives me more information about them. The other thing that you need to do, though, is to go into the About section. And in the About section, most companies have, are you interested in working with us in the future? And by clicking I'm interested, now you're telling them, I'm not just following you for financial information. I'm following you because I'd like to work for you. So even if there is not a job title that is on their career page at this point, you're telling them, I'm interested. This puts you way higher in the recruiter searches because now you've completed a handshake with the company. They're looking for somebody that has your talent. You're telling them that you're interested in the company. Recruiters are much more interested in talking to people who have a good view of their company. So follow the company, but then say, I'm interested. The other thing that you can do is in the jobs area, you can create a job alert. And when you create a job alert, you're going to say what your title is, and it is not necessarily going to be the title that you're seeing on the company page. The titles that are in this section are the titles that LinkedIn has standardized. And since LinkedIn has standardized 6,000 titles, there's generally something there that is close to who you are. It just needs to be in the job family. It does not need to be highly specific. But being able to put in a project manager, there's several project managers. You can talk about what department you're in. You can talk about what level you're in, but indicate to them what type of title, indicate to them what the location is, and create a job alert. Now, when the recruiter posts a job on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is going to evaluate the skills, the title in that job posting. It's going to look at everybody who has created a job alert for that, and it's actually going to push back to the recruiter. Here are 5 people who have indicated that they are interested in working for your company for this type of role and who match the requirements that you're looking at. You might want to start with these people. Very powerful, which is why LinkedIn only allows you 20 of these. And some of them you're going to want on your job tab as you're looking for jobs. But creating a job alert for the companies that you're targeting is going to be a way of telling the recruiter very strongly that you've got some specific needs, talents, skills that are going to be of interest to them. So we followed them. We went to About, said, I'm interested. We went to Jobs and said, here's a job alert. Now we're going to take a look at people. LinkedIn is giving us 59,347 employees at Capital One who have a LinkedIn profile. And they're going to give us a fair amount of information: where they live, where they studied, what school they attended. What they do tells you what department they work in. So as we try and narrow down and find people who we want to network with, this is going to help because it tells us where we want to be looking more closely. What they're skilled at and what they studied, not as important, but take a look at this final one: how you're connected. LinkedIn is going to tell you if you've got any first degree connections at the company. And if you do, being able to send them a note and say, I've applied for this role. I understand the Capital One pays a bonus to people who recommend someone who is eventually hired. Would you like me to use your name? Do you know who the recruiter is? Do you know who the hiring manager is? So getting information from your first degree connections and using them as a way to get that recommendation is going to be straightforward on LinkedIn. If you don't have any first degree connections, you may have second degree connections, which means that these people have somebody in their network that is also in my network. And your ability to connect with these people is going to be important because you can use the connection request to say, I see we have members in our network in common. I am expanding and improving my LinkedIn profile. Would love to connect with other people in my industry or with similar titles. Let's connect. So starting out just by connecting with someone and then coming back after that connection has been granted with a request for information is generally the two-step process that you want in order to get that recommendation from somebody you don't know. Never use the white connect button on a computer or a laptop because that sends an automated message, I'd like to be part of your network. You want something a little bit stronger. You want something that's going to be able to give them more information. So going into the person's profile and using the blue connect button is going to allow you to write a complete connect request that is more personalized and more likely to be accepted. This is just the opposite on your phone. So on your phone, the white connect button allows you to send the personalized message. The blue does not. But let's just talk about what we're looking at on the screen here. Being able to narrow down a little bit more to find the right people to talk to. If you think that the person who set up that particular job posting was the vice president of marketing, there are 410 of them. You might just need to say, I'm interested in the ones that are maybe in the Texas market. And then taking a look through and seeing if there's anybody here who might be the hiring manager. And then sending them a note. I've applied for this role because of my background in blank, 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 or my expertise in this, this, this. Would love to discuss further. Most of the time, people are going to take a look at their LinkedIn messages. If it's not something that is in their department, hopefully they are part of a team and will be able to forward your message to someone else. So connect with the people that you think are worthwhile. The people who are most likely to accept a connection request are going to be recruiters. Their job is to collect people, to connect with people. And once again, let's keep it in the Texas area. The first thing you're going to look for when you're looking for recruiters is, does anybody have the purple hashtag hiring? And in this case, we've got a couple people. These people have jobs that they are trying to fill right now, and they are letting you know that they want to hear more from you. So if you are, this one's a technical recruiter, senior recruiter, there might be more through here, but find a recruiter that's got the purple hashtag hiring and connect with that person. I have applied for this role with my background of this, would love to discuss. Let's connect. And as we've seen, when a recruiter is on LinkedIn and they see that you have connected to people within their company, you come up higher in the searches, and your goal is to be in that top 100, which is about as many as a recruiter is going to scroll through. But getting into that top portion, following the company, knowing somebody in the company that you've connected with, indicating that you are interested in being hired for that company, are all things that are going to bring you to the top of a list. So identify the companies that are of most interest to you and do those 4 things to the company. Follow them, set up an I'm interested, set up a job alert, and connect with at least one person in the company. Any questions on that? Pretty quiet. If you have a very large company, sometimes you need to narrow down a little bit further so that you can do a reasonable search. And let's say that you went to University of Indiana. LinkedIn is also going to be able to tell you how many people went to the school that you attended. And being able to find, let's go into this one. If you've got people who went to the same school that you did, your connection request is going to be a little bit different. You can say, I see you also attended, give the school name. I enjoyed my time there. I am looking for career opportunities at Capital One, particularly in, then give your title or a general explanation of what you're applying for. Let's connect. People tend to connect in an alumni situation. Schools are one of the most powerful ways of connecting because there is something that you've got in common, and probably the experience of those years in school, even if you didn't graduate from there, are going to be a huge indication of, we have something that is in common and I'm willing to help out. So try that one too. Next thing you need to do is increase your visibility. You need to be active on LinkedIn. And that means 2 to 3 times a week, you need to do something on LinkedIn, whether that be looking for a job, whether that be connecting to somebody else's profile, whether it be writing a recommendation. But being active 2 to 3 times a week on LinkedIn is a plus. More than that if possible, but stay active and consistent there. If you get a message from a recruiter, you always need to respond, even if it's a job that you don't care about. LinkedIn tracks how often you respond to recruiters. And if you don't at least tell them, I'm not interested because of the level or the location, or I'm looking for something a little different, always make sure that you respond. LinkedIn watches that, gives you a percent of recruiter outreach responses, And once again, influence is where you're going to be on that list of potential people when recruiters are looking. If you have recently updated your LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn rewards you. Recently updated quite often means that you have been laid off recently, and LinkedIn prioritizes people who are laid off. And that's one of the ways that they identify if you've been laid off. Have you recently changed that you're no longer at a company and that you've added a new company? Have you updated different portions of your LinkedIn profile? All of that indicates that you're preparing for a job search, and LinkedIn is going to reward you for that. If you want to share a resume with recruiters, most recruiters like that. Quite often they will pick up your resume from your profile and run it through their applicant tracking system just as a double check to see how closely you match the job. It can be difficult to do that because you don't always know what the recruiter is looking for, and you might not have the keywords that are really important for that role. It is something that LinkedIn is looking for, but isn't necessarily something that is going to be to your benefit each time. There are things on LinkedIn that tend to expire. LinkedIn ages different parts of your profile and starts ignoring them in searches. So when you put on your hashtag open to work, that's good for 2 months. After about 2 months, LinkedIn starts assuming that maybe you're not as interested as you think you are. Turn it off, turn it back on again. You don't need to wait, turn it off, turn it on again. Sometimes you're going to lose the information that you had in there, and you're going to need to put in your titles again and the information on what you're interested in. But always turn it off, turn it back on again, 2 months. If you're not seeing activity like you're hoping for, then you're going to need to change the headline area and the first paragraph of your about section, because those are the two areas that are most important for the algorithm and the search. And being able to change those two every 2 months is going to be important also. When I say changing the headline area, you may just want to rearrange the information. You don't need new information, but make sure that there is a date stamp associated with your about section, your headline area, and your hashtag open to work. And these statistics you'll see every once in a while, but they're not as involved in the recruiter searches and the algorithm of LinkedIn. A lot of these are associated with the human interest and what the eye is going to be going to. So having that headshot, you get more views if you have a picture out there, particularly if it's a headshot that is looking at the camera, looks welcoming, and doesn't have your pet in it. So make it professional. Headline, make it strong. Use every bit of information in there. The about section needs to have over 40 words in order to get full credit for having an about section. Put a lot of keywords in there because now you're not just saying you have that skill, you're talking about when you used it. Experience section is going to be very similar to what you have on your resume. The more information you have on LinkedIn, the easier it is to be found. And the skills and endorsements, you need to have at least 5 skills. If you don't have an endorsement for a skill, then LinkedIn can't see it in a search. So our recruiter would be able to see that you have those skills, but if they're searching for it, if it doesn't have an endorsement, it's not going to show up. So as you're adding skills, as you're adding information to that area, be sure to send notes out to your network and say, I'm improving my LinkedIn profile. I've added these 5 skills. Could I ask you to endorse me for those skills? And in return, are there any skills you would like me to endorse you for on your profile? So Make sure that if you think it's a key skill and it's a skill that's needed for your next job, that it has an endorsement. Any questions?
Yeah, Ruth, one of the questions popped up is what's the best way to date stamp on LinkedIn?
Hitting the enter button is the best way to do it. So anytime that you are on your LinkedIn profile, if you decide that you are going to change something in your headline area, and instead of putting workshop facilitator here, I want to move it up to a different area, and I hit save, the save button automatically is your date stamp. So if you are in your jobs section and you want to be able to look for a certain type of role, anytime you click on a project, on a job, that's going to be another date stamp. You've done something, you've looked at something. And by the way, this is the only area on LinkedIn that does not come up based on your match. So you would expect the jobs to come up in the order that matches the information you've got in your profile. If it says promoted, that means that the company has paid LinkedIn to bring it to the top of your profile. It may not be the perfect match for you, but it means that this company is hiring from the outside, is looking for somebody to move quickly, and is generally going to be interested in you if you're 70% qualified. So promoted definitely is going to be something that you want to look for, because now it's a real job instead of that ghost job where they posted a job, but they've already offered it to somebody internal to the company. Promoted, a real job's going to the outside.
All right, Tan asked a question. Does putting in a title of what you did rather than what you were assigned from your previous employer cause issue during a background check by future employers?
As long as you have the actual title that the company gave you, you'll be okay. Because in this case, this is what the company gave me. And then in parentheses, you're putting in, I'm translating this to the titles of what I actually did. So you do need to have the title that the company gave you, but you're just not limited to using that title only in either your LinkedIn or in your resume.
Yeah, the first job I had out of college, I was in electronic audiovisual tech one. Well, what did that mean to anybody? I was a videographer and editor. So, I put that in parentheses so people would understand what I actually did.
Perfect.
Let's see here. Do the skills transfer to your skills section on LinkedIn, or do you have to copy and paste them?
The skills that you have in your LinkedIn profile, you're going to need to add, but you can add them to which job you use them in. Is that the question?
Ruth,
Yeah,
no, it was when you're in the career section on LinkedIn where you had that and it shows you put your job title and shows all the skills that are expected of that job, of that. Yeah, right there. Like if you highlight those, do they automatically transfer over into your LinkedIn profile, or that is, okay, here's what you have to have. Go make a copy of this and then go back and put it into your LinkedIn profile?
You can do a copy paste. See how that looks here. So you can copy and paste it and they will all show up there. And then if you wanted to say, actually, Jira was not one of them, take that one out and then save it. You can do that.
Okay.
But it does not work in your skills section.
That's what I was referencing. So
Yeah, I wish.
okay. So it's there, but you got to do a little work.
Exactly. So if you wanted to
Okay.
put it in your skills, yeah, you're going to have to put them in one at a time. Well, let's see. Whoa. No, doesn't look like it's going to bring it up that way.
That looks a little confusing.
Yeah, too bad. That was a great idea, though.
Nothing's free. Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Keep in mind, Penn,
Um,
that other site is a GitHub repository, so it's separate from LinkedIn.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mike asked for titles in the headline. Should you include aspirational roles like VP of product or something more broad to cover more roles as product leader?
In the titles that you've got here, as this is the job I did, if you feel that that your title was a mismatch to what's out in the world, and that they gave you a senior manager title and you actually would have been a VP, you can put VP in parentheses to indicate, I feel this is more of the role that I had. But don't put in something that does not exist and that you can't talk about your experience for. Your aspirational ones are going to be when you're adding in a new job, then you're going to put in your aspirational goals. Here are the things that I'm looking for my next step. And I want to take a step up into my next role. So that's where those go.
Well, what about the headline? Sorry.
Uh, when you're talking about what your job is, make sure it's what your actual job was. But if you're adding in a new experience to show that you're looking for a new job, then you can put in the higher level job titles that you're looking for.
No, that makes sense. I just was curious about the approach for the headline. So outside of the experience section,
Oh, for the headline area.
the
Okay,
broader
yes.
headline. Yeah.
That needs to be what your next job should be. And if it's not a title that you've had before, that's okay. If it's a higher title than what you've had before, that's okay. People are looking to step up into a higher level as they're looking for their next job. That needs to go into the headline area. Yep, you're right. Sorry.
And make sure those job titles that you put up there are job titles that you would actually be applying for. That it's a that it's a noun, not an action, you don't want to put it project management. You want to put product manager so that it's actually a job title that LinkedIn's going to look for.
It's a good point, Jeff. Being able to put in a job title rather than a skill. You may need both. You can put in project manager and project management, but you need to have generally two titles that you're going to be of what you're looking for. And in your open to work area, it does allow you to have 5. So you can put up to 5 different titles here. And these are searchable only if a recruiter is using the LinkedIn recruiter software.
You mentioned that we should respond to recruiters. Should we respond to recruiters that we believe may not be legit?
Ooh, good point. In your messaging area, you're probably going to get a lot of stuff that is trash. People wanting to rewrite your resume because it's horrible, or want to be able to provide services for a fee. You can ignore all of those. If you feel that a person might not be a real person, you can take a look at their LinkedIn profile. That one's not giving it up, and see if they've got a verification. But no, if you don't think they're a real person, if you think that this is a scam or is bringing you into an area that is not real, ignore them. Absolutely.
How should you handle your target titles when you bridge different levels?
There's going to be a discussion at all times on what level are you really? What level should you be at the next company? Companies really do vary on when they put a person into a director versus, say, VP level, things like that. Put in a higher level. When recruiters are looking, they're going to evaluate what your skills are based on what types of activities they need that person to have. So putting in a higher level up here and in your experience section can be worthwhile, as long as you've got the keywords that support it. So if you say that you need to be an assistant vice president, you need to have words like strategy and direction and collaboration and innovation. You need to have that level words in your profile to prove that you can do that type of work.
Mike asked, what's the value of verification for job hunters?
There are people who are real on LinkedIn, and there are a lot of people on LinkedIn that are robots that are just collecting information. When a recruiter wants to talk to you, they want the understanding that you are a real person. And that verification is going to give them that satisfaction of knowing that you are not a construct from a robot or an AI activity.
All right. One last question from anybody. Unmute your mic and ask away. Going once, going
Hey,
twice.
I'll just say thank you so much for sharing your expertise, Ruth. And I've attended several of these, and every time I get more out of it. So keep doing what you're doing. And Jeff, thank you for pulling it all together for us.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I second both comments.
Here's one last question from Kelly. Says, what are your thoughts regarding proactively reaching out to recruiters at target companies? Are recruiters generally open to these invitations, or are they annoyed?
It's going to depend on the company, and it's going to depend on the recruiter. So whenever you're dealing with individuals, some are going to welcome it and be interested in that. Others are going to be annoyed. Try it though. If they never reply to you, you know that wasn't necessarily the conversation starter you hoped it would be.
Right. All right. Well, here's Ruth's profile. You're welcome to LinkedIn with her. Send her a connection request. Let her know you saw her today here. Ruth, thank you very, very much. Next week, our speaker will be Kurt Vondermatter. He's going to talk about LinkedIn from a recruiter's eye. Kurt used to pay for the full-blown recruiting package, but he's backed off this year and is only doing LinkedIn Navigator, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So he'll talk about what he's looking for as he's trying to find you. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 3 days a week. Every Tuesday we do LinkedIn. Every Wednesday, the practice interview team, the PIC crew, meets in person every Wednesday, except for the fourth Wednesday when they are online. So if you're interested, tomorrow you can join them in person, Christ United Methodist Church, Coit and Parker up in Plano, Texas. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, we've got a brand new topic that's coming up. Paula is putting this on. It'll be the first time she's presented this title, Step Up Your Game with a Career Storyline. So come join us this Friday morning at 9:30, and you can hear Paula's presentation. You're welcome to join the Career DFW or CareerUSA.org LinkedIn groups. We've got over 15,600 members in the Career DFW group. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join that group. Just have a complete profile, because I will go and look at people, as people apply to join, to see how well your profile is complete. This session was recorded. It will be on the Career USA YouTube channel only. Will not be on Facebook, as we Facebook and Zoom are not cooperating with each other, but you will be able to watch on the Career USA YouTube channel later this afternoon. On the Career USA YouTube channel, when you go to it, click on playlist, and then don't click on the video, but where you see that red arrow and it says view full playlist, up will come a list of all the different topics and titles, and you can scan down and find the one that you want to watch. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. You can just scan this QR code and just send a blank email, or send a blank email to Career USA, the + subscribe at groups.io. And as we put information out and links to the upcoming programs, you'll get a copy of that every week. Please note, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. All of our speakers are volunteer. Ruth is volunteer. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done since 2008 has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a great Tuesday, and hopefully we'll see you either at the PIC Crew tomorrow or Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group.
Thank you
very much, Jeff.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.